Greetings everyone, and welcome back to what will be the first actual episode of XCOM 2. Now, throughout this episode, we are going to be dealing with the initial setup and the first tutorial mission. I've had a quick look at the new game options. Unfortunately, if I want to include the tutorial, which has a fair chunk of story elements, I can't play on Legend difficulty. However, I should be able to switch to Legendary difficulty after the fact. I believe you can increase the difficulty but can't drop it, I'm not really sure. Regardless, we'll be able to pump it up to Legendary difficulty in the following missions. But whereas I didn't include the tutorial for XCOM Enemy Unknown and XCOM Enemy Within, this one, the tutorial actually has a big reveal that kind of sets up the rest of the game. As a quick pre-word, it's about 20 years on after the events of XCOM Enemy Within, and much alike to the UFO series of games, where the first sequel assumes you lost the first game, even though you could play through to the conclusion of the game in two ways. You could either accept, offer surrender and accept the terms of the aliens, or just go on and defeat the aliens. The second game, the canon, is that you accepted surrender in the UFO games, and in this game, XCOM 2, the canon is you flat out lost. There was no surrender. They beat you. Quite soundly, in fact. So we're going to be going into that. A significant challenge for experienced XCOM 2 players only. It really does make no difference for the tutorial because it's pretty much entirely on rails. We will be turning this on. We will also be reducing the beginner voiceovers, but I will have subtitles on. The beginner voiceovers will just give me verbal cues to basic things that I can do. So let's start the game and see what's happened in the last 20 or so years.
Excitement continues to build as city centers across the globe prepare for the 20th anniversary of Unification Day.
Thousands line up at the site of the Great Accord, celebrating the formation of the Advent Coalition.
Keeping with their promise to humanity, 12 new gene therapy clinics will be opening in select cities by the end of the new year.
That's nice of
Despite
them.
the attempted attack by fringe elements, operations at the new facility in Paris thankfully remain unaffected.
In response to the unprovoked intrusion on the eve of our most beloved celebration, the speaker reaches out to us.
What?
A small number of dissidents again repeat the mistakes of the old world.
Striking as we celebrate a benevolent savior who time and again offers only friendship and compassion.
Was no one there 20 years ago?
These trivial actions could never break the bond between humanity and the elders.
Wait a second, I recognize that voice actor.
Peacekeeping forces have already made several preemptive arrests of known collaborators. Advent again assures all citizens that today's celebrations will continue as planned.
Perfect.
The Advent administration reminds you to report all suspicious activity to your nearest PCD firm. Only together can we build a better tomorrow.
Approaching position. You were right. They've definitely got their hands full today.
Stay focused. Prep gate crasher.
Does
60 seconds.
no one notice these people, you know, pressing something in their ear and talking to themselves? Oh, that's a bit rough. Violence inherent in the system.
Now.
Signal received. Loud and clear. Okay, Gatecrasher. Your turn.
Is anyone else wondering how what I assume is a highly sophisticated dropship just managed to show up in the middle of this area full of high security celebration-y stuff? Because I am.
are swarming to the blast point. We need to move on the package before they figure out what we're up to.
Okay.
First things first. You need to get out of sight. Grab some cover near that low wall.
Copy that. Moving up.
Now, just to confirm, the tutorial is pretty much entirely on rails. Every shot, every miss, it's all scripted. I'm given the illusion of control. I could just as easily be sat here watching the computer do it all. But for the sake of the story elements, we're going to play through this together. The unit flag shows the selected soldier's health and actions remaining. Soldiers get 2 actions per turn. Osei now has 1 action remaining.
In position, but I'm exposed here.
It's better than
From
nothing.
this side.
But see if you can't find a safer position further out.
Looks like full cover ahead. Moving out.
Very well, let's go. I probably won't take time to read all of these things because they're
Crasher 2.
pretty
Stay
self-explanatory.
close. Keep pace with Crasher 1.
But suffice it to say, the shields with the half line there, it's half cover. This is full cover. Full cover is always the better. Now, just as a quick rundown for anyone who's completely new to XCOM, because when I played through the tutorial earlier, it didn't expressly say this. Cover works in a very specific way. Without mods, I believe, which will probably exist sooner or later. If I would stand here and I have cover in this direction, so for example here I've got cover in this wall and this wall, then anything on the other side of this line, it could be stood here and I would still have half cover because this line is traveling along there and I have cover from anything, half cover from anything that exists on this side of that imaginary line, and likewise anything on this side of this imaginary line. So the only place where I could be flanked, that is have no cover, is in this quarter behind me. It's wise to remember that there's no such thing as angles, like, you know, you're a little bit more to the left of someone so you've got a clear shot on them. If you're on this side of this cover, it doesn't matter what the angle is. At least that is what I've seen so far. Here's where the game proves me wrong later on, but that's how it worked in the other games as well.
We're gonna have to go through them. Stay out of sight until we're ready to strike.
Copy that.
Now this is a new mechanic in the game.
Keep to the shadows until you're absolutely set. We'll only get one shot at this.
In the shadows.
We are now concealed. Most missions start with the squad in concealment. Use concealment to set up ambushes. If any of your soldiers are spotted, or for that matter, kick through a door, go under some sort of alarm system, break a window, or shoot someone, then all of your soldiers lose concealment. Doesn't matter if they're the other side of the map. Once one of you loses concealment, initially everyone does. But despite what you might assume, when concealed, as long as you don't move through somewhere which is generally marked, and we'll see that in just a moment,
Staying low.
then you won't come out of concealment, even when you're running in the open between 2 points of cover.
Don't get too close.
For example,
They'll be
these
spotted
are
for
where
sure
they
and
can
we'll
see
lose our
us.
advantage.
I only have to avoid this. Now, it's worth noting that I only know that's there because I can see the people. I'm making a judgment call on where they can see. If I can't see a person, I don't know where they can see. So don't just run it blindly to the edge of your movement every single time because you think, oh, well, I'm in cover and there's no red tiles on the floor. If you can't see the person who can see that tile, you don't know that they're watching it. So that is a word to the wise there. But again, you know, realistically, they should have been able to see us, but because we're concealed, we're concealed.
Surprise on our side. Hopefully that's enough.
Remind me to thank the old man.
Thank the old man.
You and me both. We're not out of the woods yet. We need to take out those remaining soldiers.
Very well.
I've got the trap on him. Permission to engage.
Do it.
Okay, press enter or left mouse button on an action button to activate the tactical combat UI. In this case, we want to shoot. You can use tab to cycle through the people. I think they all are... Oh no, a couple of them are 67, one is 66, and one is 68. Just based on proximity, I imagine. Now, under this difficulty, from what I understand, you will always do your stated damage. So it'll be anywhere from 3 to 5, with a 40% chance to cause a critical hit and do more damage than stated. It turns this game into a bit of a game of chess. If you've got a very powerful weapon, you can guarantee that you're going to do a certain amount of damage, and if you know how much health an enemy has, you can, within the sort of bounds of X% to hit chance, you know if you hit, you're going to kill or not, and certain things like that. If I can unlock any second wave options early on, as I did with Enemy Within, then I will turn that off, as I kind of like having to have backup plans for my backup plans. It makes the game a little bit more fun and less like chess. Not that chess isn't fun, it's just very predictable. If you're a good player, then, you know, unless you're playing against another good player, you know how the game's going to plan out. People bemoan RNG. I actually think it makes most games a little bit more tense. Any soldier attacks an enemy, breaking windows or kicking open doors. A soldier is flanked. That I actually forgot. If a soldier is flanked, that means that they have no cover between them and an enemy who could shoot them. Then they come out of hiding. I suppose the idea there is when they've got cover between themselves and an enemy, as long as they're not within the enemy's direct detection radius, then they're basically staying low, you know, just peering over the top, maybe using a little mirror or something to see what's going on, but they're not making themselves visible. But if the soldier is walking close enough on a side where they literally have no cover, you know, they're not ghosts. They can't turn invisible yet. Maybe they can later on.
See you now. How about you all shoot first and celebrate later?
Very well. I like shooting.
I appreciate the bravery, but you're dangerously close right now. Be careful.
Okay, let us shoot someone. Now, it's letting me pick someone to shoot. Realistically, there's only one person to shoot here, and that's you. Now, that is something that we'll talk about in a moment.
You're still keeping score, right?
No. You scoundrel, you. I wasn't using that cover, but... Right, now, this is what I was talking about, cover. Bad times.
No! Crasher 2 is down! She's gone!
Damn it! You can't take risks like that. Watch your flanks.
So that's how you want to play it. Okay.
It's good that you're taking orders, but personally, as much as I'm going to try to keep people alive, I am the sort of chess player who will, you know, actively sacrifice the queen if it brings me almost certain mate in X many moves. So I'm just saying that you may be called upon to give your lives for the sake of humanity. Now, if you flank someone, then you get a massive additional chance to cause a critical hit, which, as you saw, quite devastating there. Now, the reason why they're not flanked, and you'll see that these are showing red shields now, that means that although it's going to give me cover in a direction, I would be visible to an opponent. There would be an opponent nearby who that cover wouldn't protect me from. In this case, this opponent here. That opponent has cover from anything below this line. So anything over here, they've got cover from. But if I just move over here instead, they won't have cover. They still will, though. Now, the reason they're still going to have cover, I'll rotate the camera to illustrate it, is because they've got cover on this side right here. Just if you imagine this line, they're getting cover from that. So even though, realistically, it shouldn't be that they've got any cover at all, in the game sense, they do. And it's really important you keep that in mind, because it's not particularly intuitive. This yellow icon here shows that they're flanked. This red icon shows that they're in cover. So we'll always go for a flank because you've got a much better chance to hit. For example, aim plus 65%, weapon range plus 17%. That's my hit chance. And my crit chance is 40 because I'm flanking the target. So there we go. Go for the shot.
Let's see how you like this.
Splat.
closing in on me.
If by closing in you mean running away, yes.
She's calling reinforcements. Stop that. Transmission.
Central, reporting in.
You're late. What have you been doing down there?
Taking in the sights.
What the hell are these things?
They're us.
You should already know. You've been fighting them for ages.
Used to be. Human hybrid soldiers. Advent's reward for obedience and service.
We've all heard rumors. I just never believed it was true.
No one wanted to. But we find what we're looking for today. I promise you that's gonna change. Let's move.
Now, any players from the original two XCOM games
Went through. You have an Advent transport closing on your position.
You heard her.
may recognize the term Central. Props to you if you do actually recognize the significance. That's all I'm going to say. Right, let's get over here. Since this is where the tutorial wants me to go, and I literally can't go anywhere else.
Keep your eyes peeled. Fire on anything that moves.
Soldiers in Overwatch will shoot the first enemy unit they see moving. Activate Overwatch now to prepare for the reinforcements. There we go.
The main entrance is clear. We need to move on the package.
Very well. Q and E rotates the screen, by the way. Now, within the blue area, this is one move, and then you can perform another action. But the way it works is it's not distance, it's literally number of moves. So I could move my full move, or I could move part of it. Either way, I've taken my move, and I then need to... That's one part of my move gone. So, generally speaking, I usually move the full distance where it makes sense. Obviously, there are some situations where tactically it's better to move much smaller steps. But after that move, quite often, you'll want to move again. But I move the full move and cover as much as I can, then decide where I want to move next. Again, there will be times when that will not be the case. Will you please go there? Thank you. No. Come on. There we are. Good, Central. Of course, dramatic through the window cam.
Hold up. You should check that body for salvageable gear. We need anything we can get at this point. Better move fast, though.
Now, this is actually quite interesting. It's a new mechanic in XCOM 2. Soldiers automatically collect dropped items when they end their move inside a yellow loot radius. So, this Advent soldier over here dropped something, so we're going to find out what that is. We found a scope. This weapon upgrade will add an aim bonus to any weapon it is attached to. Fantastic. And now we want to get inside as well. There we go. Generally speaking, one of the only times when I'm just moving around exploring, where I won't use my full movement, is when there isn't cover at the full movement range. Moving from cover to cover is just almost always the right thing to do.
They're getting nervous. Now I know we're in the right place.
Here's my Overwatch. Overwatch triggers on the enemy's movement. The real advantage to Overwatch is the heroic. That's never a good sign. But the really good thing about Overwatch is because it triggers on enemy movement. Typically, when someone is moving, they're not in cover. Because the moment you stand up, even if someone was over here, the moment they're in motion, they're no longer benefiting from any of this cover. You only get cover when you're stationary, when you've ended a movement at that position. So the moment they started to move, if my soldier had line of sight, then it would be able to shoot at them. They would be out of cover, and thus there would be a critical, an aim advantage and also a crit chance. But generally, I believe that if you're shooting down someone from Overwatch, you do have an aim penalty on top of it. So it does kind of balance out. It's not a guarantee you're going to always be better at shooting at someone when they're in Overwatch. I think you generally have better aim if you're shooting them when you're stationary, but there are certain perks, or at least they were in the original game, that would negate that, so Overwatch became much, much more deadly at that point. We're going to go ahead and take someone out. Got a 49 on you, 48. I can't kill you in one go, even if I do maximum damage, so I'll go for you, because I can kill you. Oh, no, can I? I have to shoot you. Okay, well, fine.
What the? I'm going for the door.
Very well. Now, this is a new part of XCOM 2 as well. It's a bit of a... Well, it's not so much a mini-game, but it's an additional thing you can do in the missions.
Protocols. They were never expecting anyone to get this close.
Fools. Okay, let's hack. All soldiers can hack certain computers, lock doors, and some other objects to gain access and temporary bonuses. However, some soldiers are much better at it. Okay, now, I've got a guaranteed unlocking of the door, but there are additional hack rewards I could get. I could go for disguised signals. Soldier immediately gains concealment, so that soldier would become concealed again. There's a 6% chance that I might get that when I try to hack. Or override, soldier gains complete immunity for the next 2 attacks. On fail, no effect. So there's no penalty for trying for these. I am assuming that some of them will have them, but we're going to go for this. What I imagine to be the case is it's just generating a random number between 0 and 100, and if it's above it's 94 or above, then I'm going to succeed on that. Again, this is a tech score of 5. This trooper has got a tech score tech score of 60. This trooper's got a tech score of 5. I imagine there'll be other soldiers which will have much better scores, and that'll affect it in some way. Could just be a reduced increased chance of success, or it might be a possibility of getting much better optionals.
We're in.
Good. Let's go.
Very well. Okay, now this is part of the reveal that I really wanted to wait to be able to show. Why I haven't been putting up footage the last 2 days. This and the next mission go into quite a lot.
This is the place.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Looks like there's an access panel attached. If you get me a better look, I might be able to...
Well done, Central.
Get out of here.
Soldiers can carry unconscious, dead, and bleeding out units. This allows the soldier to retrieve a fallen comrade. That is actually a pretty amazing new ability in the game. Sure, go ahead, carry this unit.
The entire Advent security grid just lit up. Firebrand is holding nearby for evac, but it's now or never, Central.
Understood. We're on the move.
Go, go, go. Oh dear.
No! Central! Crasher 1 is down. You have to get out of there.
We need another exit. Now!
Okay. Let us just make one.
Got it covered.
Now, throw a grenade here. Grenades are not as lethal as firearms, but can damage multiple units and destroy cover and walls. I will probably make liberal use of destroying cover, not so much use of destroying walls, but destroying cover is a massive bonus.
Works for me.
For someone carrying someone else who looks like they're incredibly heavy, padded and waterlogged armor of some sort, you can actually move quite a distance.
Way too close.
Indeed. Ouch.
Firebrand, this is Gatecrasher. We need an immediate evac. Get us out of here.
Okay, press P to place an evac zone. Select call Skyranger icon to press, or press P to place an evac zone. Select a target area and confirm with placement. Now this is something new as well. So we can actually call in the Skyranger once certain objectives have been met. We can specifically say we want to be evac'd. This is where we want to be evac'd from. I don't know if there are any particular restrictions on that. I haven't played the game enough. I've only really played through the tutorial and one or two missions beyond it, so I'm not completely clear on the restrictions on using this ability, but it's pretty awesome. Let's go.
Keep moving.
You don't need to tell me twice.
Good.
We're coming home.
There we go. A unit standing within the evac zone can activate evac ability to safely extract from combat. Now, it says that I have to do this. I'm not sure whether this is going to be a tutorial-y sort of thing, or whether this is how it works, but I'm just doing this with Central, and apparently that's going to evac everyone. Now, my guess would have been that that would cause whoever was not there to be left behind, but perhaps not. Mysterious.
There's potentially decades of atrophy to contend with.
Wish we had more time.
I don't disagree.
But as it stands now, we risk losing the patient if we don't begin the removal procedure immediately.
We're ready.
Good. Then let's get on with it. Remarkable. Just like 20 years ago. We were still calling it a war back then. We had no idea what was coming. Response from the cerebral cortex. Good. Prepping for cranial intrusion.
That doesn't sound pleasant.
I've managed to identify the connection. Preparing to make final incision.
That really.
These
Ow.
readings are getting really erratic.
Of course they are. These implants were never designed to be removed. We are risking severe... No plan B here, people. Do it.
Oh, that really doesn't look nice.
Pupillary response normal. Vital stabilizing. Procedure complete. Told him it would take more than that to keep you down. Welcome back, Commander. Glad to see you're finally coming out of it.
Glad to be coming out of it.
Envy the headache you must have, though. Still, can't fault Dr. Tigan. Especially as no one's even attempted something like this before. Easy. We're still not entirely sure what they did to you. That chip was buried halfway into your skull.
Lost a lot of good soldiers looking for you over the years. Almost gave up hope you were still out there. Acted on the intel as soon as I got word. Not sure what you remember, but a lot's changed. Did the best I could, but the last 20 years have been tough without you. You feel like catching up? Shen has the archive up and running on your terminal. Otherwise, I'd go see Dr. Tigan when you're ready. There's some things you should know. He'll be better at explaining them than me. It's damn good to have you back, Commander.
I still don't forgive you for half the stuff you did back in Enemy Within, Bradford, but
Commander, to the
you did
research labs.
just rescue me after like 20 years in some sort of weird alien holding tank. I guess that carries a small cost in favor. I will review my original logs. Maybe scrub out a few of the parts where I called you a potential traitor. Maybe. But that is going to be where we're wrapping up this first episode. I hope you've enjoyed. As I said, I really didn't want to start putting up videos of me going through the missions where I couldn't reference any of that, because it's a pretty good setup as far as the game goes. It's really, really awesome. So we are going to be continuing in the next episode. We'll check out the archives, then we will go and meet some of the rest of the staff and take on the first mission that isn't on rails. I hope you're looking forward to that. As always, I welcome any kind of feedback in the comments below, and if you enjoyed the video, then why not leave a like to let me know that you would like to see more XCOM in the future. As with my other series, if you would like to have a soldier named after you, then you can check out the episode 0 where I go over character customizations, and just drop a comment here with your YouTube username or what name you would like to be known by, any kind of customization changes you want to make, that sort of thing, and I'll see what I can do. But until next time, do take care.